Please be seated. Your Excellency, the President, my Lord, the Honorable Chief Justice, the Chief Minister, and other ministers and deputy ministers present, the Secretary of the President and other senior advisors present, the Chairman and other members of the Statistics Council, members of Parliament present, members of the Diplomatic and Consular Corps, development partners, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. We'll now call this ceremony to order and we'll start the proceedings with a minute of silent reflection. Amen. Amen. On behalf of His Excellency the President, I offer our warmest welcome to you all for gracing the presentation of the preliminary report of the final results of the Digital 2021 Midterm Population and Housing Census to His Excellency the President. Therefore, I now have the pleasure to invite the Chairman, Statistics Council, which is the governing body of Statistics Leone, Mr. Moses Williams, for opening remarks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Press Secretary. Your Excellency, sir, ladies and gentlemen, I want to just cut this one very short. We have come a very long way. We all know the story. And today we are here to come to almost the end of this process. I just want to acknowledge the contributions that a number of people did, especially our development partners, the World Bank, the EU, UNESCO, UNFPA, UNDP, UNICEF, and the others. On the national front, we want to acknowledge the contribution of Honorable Nabila Tunis. She was the first minister who really received the proposal from us, and she was the first to seek the consent of His Excellency before Honorable Minister, now, Dr. Francis Kaika came on board. We would also want to thank, or maybe just acknowledge, the contribution of IGR, IGR, NACID. These two institutions actually assisted, in bringing out the message to our people. They held meetings with the stakeholders explaining the census process. Well, the Council of Paramount Chiefs, we want to thank them very much and also acknowledge their contributions to this. We want to also acknowledge the contributions of the Council of the Religious Council for their own contribution too. Also, we had committees that deliberated on the census process, the Technical Committee, the Advisory Committee, and the Publicity Committee. This committee set the stage for the entire process. And I want to single out one particular individual here, Professor Lawrence Kamara. He was very, very instrumental, especially with the Technical Committee. The Fourth Estate, they actually spread the news for us. You were very great, ladies and gentlemen, and we acknowledge you for that. Well, in every activity you have the field staff, the enumerators, the supervisors. We want to acknowledge their own contributions too, but more so the respondents, because for them, it was a great pleasure for us to meet them and for us to get information that we are now dealing with. A lot of other stakeholders were there. We acknowledge you all. We can't name everybody because of time. But the one thing I want to add is that normally, after a presentation, we would have a technical session. That may not happen today. And we would advise that anybody who has some issues with the discussions here, or who want to know a little bit more of the process, we invite you to Statistics Sierra Leone, so that we go there and talk about this eventually. Also, under normal circumstances, I'm not saying this is not a normal circumstance, but because of time, we may have to restrict the number of presentations. Yeah, those who are going to do statements, we want to reserve that for the other time, the other dates when we have the analytical reports to be presented. Thank you very much, and I hope we have a wonderful and fruitful deliberation. Thank you.
A round of applause for the chairman of the Statistics Council. We then proceed with a statement from the Minister of Planning and Economic Development, Dr. Francis Kaka.
Your Excellency the President, Dr. Julius Madabio, the Honorable Chief Justice, Chief Minister, and colleague ministers here present, our members of Parliament present, Secretary to the President and other advisors to the President, our development partners, representatives of local councils of Sierra Leone, representatives of the Council of Paramount Chiefs, chairman and members of the Statistics Council, Statistician General and statistics staff, members of civil society and NGO community present, members of the Fourth Estate, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon to you all. Let me start by, again, welcoming you all to this very important ceremony as Minister of Planning and Economic Development, providing oversight for Statistics Sierra Leone. Your Excellency, on the 21st of July 2020, you proclaimed the Midterm Population and Housing Census to be conducted by Statistics Sierra Leone. The enumeration, which was to commence on December 4th, 2020, was interrupted largely by the COVID-19 global pandemic, as well as the need to meet statutory and technical requirements and benchmarks to enhance the readiness of Statistics Sierra Leone. These developments necessitated a shift of the actual start date of the enumeration to the 10th of December 2021. Statistics Sierra Leone conducted the 2021 Midterm Population and Housing Census to achieve some key objectives, which you stated in the proclamation. Two of these were, firstly, to correct the technical anomalies of the 2015 Population and Housing Census. These anomalies had constrained and the ability of Statistics Sierra Leone to professionally respond to the basic data needs of various users. Secondly, to provide credible and reliable data that will enable ongoing planning, assessing, monitoring of progress of development interventions by the government of Sierra Leone and our development partners, the African Union Agenda 2063 and the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development Goals. Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, fellow compatriots, by all indications, the census was carefully planned and executed by Statistics Sierra Leone. As the Oversight Ministry, we ensured that all due processes necessary for the conduct of a census were followed to the letter, despite the COVID-19 situation that provided a backdrop to the process. We also took the unprecedented step to participate in some of the technical sessions, as well as made field visits during the cartographic mapping phase, during the pilot census, during the training of the field enumerators, and payments of field staff, among others. In addition, Your Excellency, Statistics Sierra Leone held regular technical consultations with the principal development partners until the eve of the planned enumeration. Statistics Sierra Leone also received regular guidance and no objections from the World Bank technical advisors, which informed our choice of date for the enumeration. Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as will be demonstrated shortly by the Statistician General, I want to inform and assure you that all the stated objectives of the census and more were achieved. I would like to join the Chairman, Statistics Council, to thank our development partners, particularly the World Bank, United Nations Fund for Population Activities, UNICEF, United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, and UNICEF for the substantial support, both technical and financial, provided to the preparation for this census. Your Excellency, distinguished guests, please permit me to thank Statistics Leone and the Statistics Council for a job well done amidst all the challenges, including the unprecedented call for a boycott of the census by some sections of the political opposition. It is worth noting that census offenses were committed by many individuals, but the relevant clauses of the Census Act of 2002 were never evoked in the name of peace and a stable environment for the national exercise. An important information I want the public to know is that MOPED ensured Statistics Sierra Leone was shielded from the monumental political pressure that was mounted from the time Your Excellency proclaimed the census. This was a deliberate move on our part to allow Statistics Sierra Leone to do a professional, credible, and efficient job without any interference or detraction. The pockets of resistance were professionally handled through the timely intervention of various local stakeholders earlier named by the Chairman of Statistics Council. We remain grateful to them. Statistics Sierra Leone also extended the period of enumeration to allow for these late converts to the process. Your Excellency, today's ceremony is organized to officially hand over to you the final verified results of the 2021 midterm census, which was completed in June 2022. This follows the publication of the provisional result by Statistics Sierra Leone on the 31st of May this year. Let me conclude, Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, by expressing satisfaction with the 2021 midterm population and housing census for addressing the data gap that we had as a nation. Among others, we now have data sets for riverine chiefdoms in all 7 districts along the Atlantic coast and border Sierra Leone. We have data sets for the new districts of Falaba and Carrion. And we have data sets for almost all localities in rural Sierra Leone. If I could speak for all institutions, Your Excellency, for governments, both central and local, including Parliament, NGOs, civil society organizations, development partners, local authorities, etc., who were all involved in this process. The 2021 midterm census had enabled us to evaluate as well as learn lessons for future nationwide initiatives. As I take my seat, Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, I will now hand over to the Chief Census Officer and Statistician General, Professor Usman Sanko, to present an overview of the process and key highlights of the main results. I thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Minister, for your supervisory role of statistics. At this point, Your Excellency, with your gracious permission, I would like to request for a change of your seating position, and you occupy the seat between the Chief Minister and the Deputy President, so we can have the statement and the presentation, Your Excellency. And I invite the Chief Census Officer for first the statement and later the presentation.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, my Lord Chief Justice, Chief Minister, Speaker and members of Parliament, representatives from the various local councils, traditional and religious leaders, our development partners, members of the Midterm Census, so various committees, members of statistics, the council and my team, Statistical team, members of the CSO and NGO community, Fourth Estate, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I feel extremely pleased and blessed today to speak to you as the Chief Census Officer for the first fully digital population and housing census in this country. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, on the 31st of May 2022, we announced the provisional results of the midterm census, conducted in December 2021. Just a few months later, we completed the review of the data and provided the final results to the government of Sierra Leone. Just a few months later, because it was digital. As indicated by the Minister of Planning and Economic Development, today is this ceremony for the President to receive this preliminary report of the final results. We will provide a publication schedule for the analytic and all the thematic reports that usually go with the census. StatSL is pleased to report that 7,061 individuals added to the provisional total that I reported. This confirms the robust processes we put in place and consequently the very high quality of data that we generated. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, in my published statement during the announcement of the provisional results, I provided key reasons why we had to go to the field, stating the key objectives, and you've heard some of them by the Minister today. I'm pleased to report that StatSL achieved those objectives, and I had also explained that the digital methodology we used, starting from the cartographic mapping and ending with the main enumeration itself. Sierra Leone can now be proud of having conducted its first digital census, like a few other countries in Africa, Ghana, Kenya, Malawi, and Botswana. It is good to see that Liberia, Nigeria, Tanzania, Rwanda, and several others are following us. We are a small country, but we can also lead in Africa. StatSL is proud to announce that we will henceforth be able to provide population data at the locality, ward, section, chiefdom or council, district and regional levels. And due to the digital methodology we implemented, this data can be generated with really relatively timely manner. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, StatSL now also has a reliable sampling frame to support all important socio-economic surveys for local and national development planning purposes. While announcing the provisional results, I stressed the importance of the de facto census, in which we counted people where they slept on census night. That's on the 9th of December 2021. Whether or not those places were their usual places of residence. So we counted them where they slept. If their usual places of residence were Freetown, Kabbalah, etc. But if they went elsewhere and slept somewhere else, on the 9th of December, we counted them there. That is important to note. I further explained that we required only one member of the household to respond to questions on behalf of the rest of the household members. So those people who said they were not counted, but they said their spouses responded, they were counted. That has to be clear. Just one, if you are 10 members, if you're 10 members in the family, in the household, and one responded to us, we were satisfied with that. That is important to note. Please allow me to reiterate the processes that led to the success of the digital 2021 midterm population housing census. We conducted a locality verification exercise. It's important to start with the locality verification exercise. A digital cartographic mapping, you will see some of the examples I'll show you today. A digital pilot census and a digital main enumeration exercise. And we're on top of all the technical issues. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, I wish to stress that the training of the main enumeration was done at district level, where recruitment of census staff was also carried out. This was in response to local authorities who wished to have their sons and daughters work in their local areas. We are therefore delighted to report that these young men and women demonstrated exceptional willingness to enumerate their own people. To buttress the acknowledgements already made by the chairman of the Census Council, StarTCL is grateful to all our field staff. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, I will now present the preliminary report of the final results of the first fully digital 2020 midterm population housing census. I will be presenting what we did in terms of the cartographic mapping and the main enumeration. But I want you to see what I will continue to stress here, the digital aspects of things. So the goal really for the cartographic mapping that we did was to ensure that we would use digital methodologies to provide codes. That's extremely important. Codes to every locality in this country. Every locality in this country. That never existed. So that every locality would have a code, and then if for whatever data analysis you want to do, it will be easier for you to do that. And we use digital methods to do that, and also to produce enumeration areas. When we call these are ES enumeration areas, you will have an example of. And we did really this. And your own children here were trained by us to use these technologies. We use what we call the EA pad, the enumeration pad. This was designed, and we should be proud of the Nigerians, designed by a Nigerian company and supported now and approved by the World Bank. So this is a pad, the enumeration pad, and every cartographer was trained to use this, and he or she went to the field. see what is important here, ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellency. If you did not go closer to the building, it will not be possible for you to use the park. And I want that message to be left behind. Our cartographers had to go closer, about 10, 20 meters, before the park could open it, before you could enumerate it. So the days of a cartographer or an enumerator sitting on the field, under a tree, and saying, oh, that place is too far, I will not go there, were long gone. It's no longer happening at StatSL. So this was what each and every cartographer used. And we developed a treasure trove of data with that tablet. We were able to get a lot of information, points of interest on the building, the use of the building, and the type of the buildings, the status of the building, and everything else. And that information is part of it. And using satellite imagery, supported by the World Bank, and for the latest satellite imagery, we have footprints of every building in this country as of 2021. StatSL has that data. What it means is that these are all buildings here. In Freetown, Warima, where I come from, a small village, and everyone else, we have buildings. And so these data were used to create the enumeration areas. It was easier for us to do then because we had the EA part. So we knew how much work to give to supervisors and to the enumerators. And these, we were able to carve out 24,000 EAs enumeration areas. So we have this. This is exactly what you will see. So we know exactly where we had to send our enumerators to go to the field. Next. This gives you the building frame. What you see here is all the buildings in this country as 2021, when we went out to the field, have all the footprints here. So if you have this information, this data for you, then for each and every one of those buildings, we can tell whether it's a residential building or a non-residential building. Each and every one of them. So as we go along, you will see the amount of data that we have and what the currency we have at StatSL for training. Why it is important for us to even collaborate with universities and all research institutions. So, for you to know that we have that information, the total number of structures that we registered in this country, that's 2021, is 850,599. And out of this, we have the non-residential 7,503, and the residential buildings 843,096. What is important here is we have this, when you go back, we have this across the districts. And if we can give you across the districts, it means that we can give you across the chiefdoms. It means that we can give you across the sections. It means that we can give you across the enumeration areas. And we can drill down even to the smallest locality. Next slide. Then after that, we did the pilot census. The pilot census gave us the extra confidence because it was a pilot, it was a census in its own right, where we identified all the technical and logistical issues and we addressed those ones, and we were confident that we were ready to go to the field. And we went to the field. And as I said, this time, nothing would stop us from going where we wanted to go. Because if you did not go closer to a building, your application will not open up. And so now, ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellency, I'll give you the data, the final 2021 midterm population housing census results for the regional level. The total 7,548,702 individuals in this country recorded, and where we have the female population, as you can see, 3,820,55, and 3,727,747 female population. More females, of course, in our country as well, like in many other countries. And the total in the eastern region, it's 1,943,610. In the northern, 1,316,831. And the northwestern, 1,186,050. And the southern, 1,830,881. And the western, 1,271,330. As we told you that we have the information, this population that I've just given you, the 7,548,567, built up from the institutional population. We have a population based on the institutions. You know, we have institutions like the prisons. We also cover that. And then the household population itself, that is all the households that we visited. And the total population is given there as 7,533,567. So when you now consider the household population, and then you divide by the total number of people that are recorded, registered, or counted in each of those households, it gives you the household size. The average household size for the country for 2021 is 4.2 individuals per household on average. There will be differences there. The difference by chiefdom, by sections, by various districts. Those details we will provide. You can always come. We invite you to come to Census and we can work with the fine details going forward. For the final figures for 2021 midterm census by district, you have the totals here, and the total for the country still stands, and for the individual districts, Kenema 550,435, Kailaun and Kenema 772,472, and Kono 620,703, Bombali 397,236, Falaba 166,205, Bernadugu 206,133, Tonkolili we have 557,257, Cambia 367,699, Karine 290,313, Mutloko 528,038, Bo 756,975, Bond 297,561, Moyamba 346,771, Ujeum 429,574, the Western Rural 662,156, and the Western Urban 609,174. It was important for me to read this across the districts. I'm not going to bore you with all the numbers, but I will let you see them as we go along. But this was important, and then the sex ratio is there, as I said earlier on, more females in our country than males. Then what this is showing you is that we have the district map. For every district, we have a map for it, and we are responsible for really drawing those maps for the country. And for each district, we have the chiefdoms. Yeah. Okay, we have the numbers by, of course, disaggregated by sex, and the totals by district for each of the districts. So what I'm going to do here is just give you an example that, or to show you that we do have these details at Census today. The next one, here we have Kenema. We capture as well the Kenema city. That's where for districts with a council, we have that. So we have 16 chiefdoms here, and then we have one city council, and the numbers are disaggregated. we can drive down, and down, as I keep saying. Now it's possible for us to do this. The next one, Kono. We have 14 chiefdoms, 1 city council, Kwedu City, and then the figures tally with what I have presented. And this is for Bombali. Bombali gives you that we have Makeni City, we have the totals, and then the sex ratio for each one of them. We have Falaba. Falaba, like the minister said, we have fine details of Falaba as well. We have the map, the district map, we have the section map, and then we have all the details of Falaba. Kwenadugu as well, this gives you the shape of the Kwenadugu districts and with all the chiefdoms in there. And then the total for the various chiefdoms are there by sex, and the total 206,133, as Leone said. Then we have Tonkolile as well, where we have the chiefdoms, and that's the map, and then the distribution of the data there for the chiefdoms. Cambia, the same. We have Cambia, all the details are there. Continue, it goes, and then we have Karine as well. Karine, we went to Karine, like all other districts, and our enumerators were able to give us the data. Yeah? With local city, the city council, we have all this council, and this the Minister of Finance works closely with us for all this data for their own planning purposes. 16 chiefdoms and 1 city council as well, and then we have the total for Bo and the sex ratio for all of this. Bond as well, Bond, we have the Bond, the districts, we have the metropolis, the Bond urban is part of this, and the total, and all the details are here. And for some of you who could see the chiefdoms there, it's easy to identify. Wayamba, we have 14 chiefdoms, and the details of the chiefdoms are also here. These are available, we provide them, and then we go. And that's for Bujam as well. Bujam, we have 429,574 total population, divided by, segregated by sex and the chiefdom, and of course that. Then the western area rural, that's also possible here that we've done with the 662,156 by the chiefdom. And the western area urban, that's the 16th district, we have 8 chiefdoms there from Central 1 to West 3. The figures exist. But now we want you to pay attention to something. Many of us live in Freetown, we say, but we actually don't live in Freetown. If you live at Mount Oriel, you are not living in Freetown. You will also write our address, and it's Freetown as if you are in the western area. But you are not. Just beyond the Vuma Beach, you are no longer in Freetown. All of that area is the western area, rural. So there is a confusion. And so when we report some of this data and people do not really know where they belong, and then they feel that something is not happening well. So just take a look at them. And all of here is the western area rural, including Waterloo. Okay, so you can probably see it better here. This small one, the move or whatever, it's western area urban and all of here. So now you just need to drive from Jure towards Waterloo and you see what is happening here. So the population of the western area rural is completely different. And so what we've done now for the section level data, we shall not bore you with all of this. These are just examples. When you take Kailam as an example, I gave you the chiefdom level data already. For each chiefdom, we have the section. We can give you the data for the section. Here, I have a very good friend who comes from there, and Kisitongi, Kisiteng, and all of this. So the sections here can be given. We have data to that level. Move down, and then an example for the western area rural, Koya rural, for some of us, I went to Tomlinson High School, Songo, by the way. And so, by Western area rural there. So this man talking to you went to Tomlinson High School, Songo. So I'm using the opportunity to let the president know. Okay, so we have these details here. Okay, so we have the details at the section level. You now come to the Western area urban. Okay, we have Central 1, Central 2, come down to East 1. We have all of this data by the section level. The next one, East 1, all of this. We have all of this data. So we went to each and every one of these enumeration areas. And the final one is actually West 1 to West 3. So these are the ones. So we, as Census, we know exactly the boundaries. So when we provide the data, and we will encourage people who do not have much experience in some of this, or the expertise in this, to come to us and have a discussion. We have a strong technical team at Census, thanks to the Stats Council, and so we are willing to do this. Okay? So now, quickly, Your Excellency, and this is becoming even more exciting. So what we did was, every census in the world, after you've conducted your census and you've provided provisional results, you now do some kind of focusing on the data. And many countries would give considerable changes in their data, the data they report. We, as Census, using digital technology, the difference between the provisional results that we reported and the final census is really, really very small for the entire country. It's about 7,061 individuals. That tells you how robust our systems were, the processes that we put in place, the training we give to our enumerators. That's the difference between this provisional one that I announced a few months ago and the final today. It's really very small. Next slide. And now comparing 2021 and 2015 in terms of the total figures and all of this, there is an increase of 456,589 individuals in Sierra Leone. It's about 6.4% increase from 2015 to 2021. And the totals are here. In 2015, 7,092,113, and in 2021, 7,548,702 individuals. So quickly, for us, this is just an eye-catching way of presenting this without any scale. From 1963, this is how the population of Sierra Leone has grown. Between the last 6 years, from 7.09 to 7.55 million individuals. So in terms of when we want to feel like Professor Kamara sitting here, this is what he would like to see. You do some growth rates and all of that. But what our work has shown is that it is consistent. If you consider 1963 as the base census year, and you take from 1963 to 1974, the growth rate was 2.1%. From 1963 to 1985 was 2.2%. So 2004 was 2%. The 1960 to 2015 went up a little bit to 2.3%, and then but from 1963 to 2021 is 2.1%. So on average is 2.1%. That also confirms the credibility and the quality of the data that we have generated as Census. Now in terms of the share of the population, you actually you don't need to have gone to Tomlinson High School, Songo, to see that these two form 50% of the population of the country. Okay? So the eastern region and the southern region, when you add this together, they give you, even from this line, you see that 50% of the population of the country, and the other three regions share the 50%. And in terms of the share by district, Kenema has the largest share of 10.2% populated area, this small area. and the second highest here, the western area, urban. But then we have also areas, districts in this country that are also moderately densely populated. The eastern and southern here, I mean the Bo and these districts, and also Putloko and Kambia. These are also in terms of the density of the population. So, I did not know I was going to end so quickly. I wanted to keep the precedent, and all of you here enjoying statistics today. But anyways, I was told by my chairman that I needed to send some messages. And these are the key messages I want to leave behind. We here at StartSL and in Sierra Leone, we have successfully conducted the first digital census in this country. And we have trained really thousands of Sierra Leoneans. That is very key. There are thousands of Sierra Leoneans out there who we have trained, we've given the skills to use, not only to use this thing for WhatsApp, but also to use this for something really academic. And we are among the first 5 countries in Africa to have successfully conducted a digital census. The message probably, and I wanted to leave it there, sometimes usually when the president looks at that level, you would see the need to continue to strengthen StartSL. You have Sierra Leoneans who are capable, let us believe in our people, human capital development works. And if we believe in what we do ourselves, we can do it. That's very important. But also is that we now think it is about time countries in Africa should strive to fully finance the implementation of the census so that the timelines will be determined by yourself and not by, you know what I mean. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to the Chief Census Officer for such a delightful presentation. And I would like to invite the Excellency President to come forward for the official presentation of the report. I'd like the Chief Census Officer to present the report officially to His Excellency the President. Thank you very much. It's now my singular honor to invite the Excellency President for a response. Excellency President.
Honorable Chief Justice, Chief Minister, Ministers of Government, our revered paramount chiefs and community leaders, members of the diplomatic corps, the chairman and members of the Council, Statistics Sierra Leone, the Statistician General and staff of Statistics Sierra Leone, civil society members and the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. When we chose to know where people live, what their living conditions are, and what development challenges they face, we did so because as a government And in collaboration with our partners, we believe that we must plan for, govern, and invest in our communities by using current and credible data. So for the first time in the history of this nation, we have used cutting-edge technology and digitalization to conduct a national census. As the Statistician General has affirmed in his presentation, for the first time in the history of this nation, we have deployed technology to generate digital data and excellent sampling frames we can use in the future. With this first ever digital census, therefore, there has been unprecedented national coverage, accuracy, verifiability, transparency, and professionalism. I therefore wish to thank our friends and partners who have generously supported us throughout this process. Especially, I want to thank the former President of Kenya, Uhuru Kenyatta, and the government of the Republic of Kenya, the World Bank, UNFPA, INECA, UNICEF, the Embassy of the People's Republic of China, and the sister states of the Mano River Union. As the Minister has indicated, Statistics Sierra Leone received regular guidance and no objections from the World Bank's technical advisors until the eve of the enumeration. I therefore thank them for their professional input. Members of Council, staff of Statistics Sierra Leone, experts, consultants, enumerators, parliamentarians, MDAs, paramount chiefs, community, traditional and religious leaders, women, youth groups, and all those who have supported this successful exercise, I thank you all. Some people volunteered to exclude themselves from the census, as stated by the minister. Some people intentionally committed offenses under census laws. Politicians and some of their henchmen are on record spreading incendiary messages, and persons associated with them acted to impede the work of enumerators, in some cases threatening them with physical violence. As the minister has indicated, none has been prosecuted for spreading hate messages, information disturbing the peace, and threatening enumerators. All is forgiven for the sake of cohesion and peace. I value the peace and stability of this nation. I led many into battle to safeguard the peace of this nation. I restored democracy and voluntarily handed over power to a democratically elected government, all for the sake of peace. I was elected president of this country in peace, in peaceful and democratic elections. It is my duty to preserve the peace of this nation. It is my duty to ensure that the future of this nation is well planned and structured for success. That future must be predicated on verifiable, current, and accurate data. Until the next decennia census, this data set will be used for making governance decisions, policy making, planning, public service delivery, and various investments in key sectors of our economy. It will also be the basis for future national surveys. I am therefore delighted, ladies and gentlemen, to accept the final results of the first fully digital 2021 midterm population and housing census. I thank you all very much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, and that is how we come to the end of the presidential ceremony. And on that note, I would like to request for all of us to rise for the national anthem signals the end of the program.